I'm going to teach you how to walk your pattern pieces. So I have a front and a back trouser here, and so you will be tracing your pattern onto your tracing paper without seam allowances. So, but you will need to add your seam allowances back on. So just make sure you give yourself enough room around your pattern piece to do so. So my patterns are only quarter scale, so like 1/8 of an inch is a 1/2 inch on this. You're going to take your piece and you're going to place one on top of the other, and you're going to match up your bottom corner. So you want those two to match up perfectly right there at the bottom. And you're just going to hold your piece there, and you're going to walk your pattern piece, matching the seam allowance line or the stitching line, all the way up until you get to the top. Now in this case, my front piece is shorter than my back piece, so I would extend my front piece up to match and then angle it down to go into my dart. So I need to add to the shorter one so that it matches the longer one. So if it was the back piece that was shorter, I would add to the back piece. Now we're going to do the same thing with the inseam. So you're going to take your piece and just slide it over and match up that corner, and then slowly move your piece until it matches all the way up. Now in this case, my back is about a tiny bit longer. It can be up to 3/8 of an inch longer on a full scale pattern. So you are not going to raise this up. You are going to actually leave the back one a little bit longer. And then when you sew them together, you would have a notch here at the mid thigh, usually on your upper thigh, and you're going to match that notch up, which will then match these corners up. And then it will match, and then you'll force the other part down here at the bottom to match up. So you're going to pull it so that they match up evenly, and then sew with the bigger one touching the feed dogs of your sewing machine, and that will force that larger piece to ease into the top piece. So you're going to pin it from the bottom up to here, and then pin from the top down to the thigh, and then that will force this area to get eased together, and that's where we want the fullness. We don't want to ease it into the calf because we don't need it there. We need it in the thigh area so that it fits. So the reason why we walk our pattern pieces is after we've drafted it is to ensure that the outseams match exactly. So like I mentioned, I extended up this front piece, and then I will blend it down in to my dart. Okay, shouldn't be this much. This is quite a bit on this scale of a pattern. You might have it be off by 1/4 inch, 3/8 of an inch, but whatever one is shorter, you're going to bring up so that it matches the length of the other one on the side seam. Okay, so from the hem up, you're going to walk that pattern. So again, you're just going to place one on top of the other, matching your corner, and slowly move it until it matches. Okay, there. Okay, at the top. And then the inseam, the back piece can be bigger by up to 3/8 of an inch on a full-size pattern. Okay, we do this just to make sure that they match before you cut it out.